Hi, how are you tonight? I'm Roberta Colasino, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator here in the Finger Lakes region of upstate New York. We're sort of between Rochester and Buffalo. The Finger Lakes is a lot bigger than that, but not Rochester and Buffalo. Rochester and Syracuse. Just ignore me, it's been a long day. We had our first real snow last night with some accumulation, and I decided to go out and shovel the snow and clean off my car a little after midnight last night because they said it was done snowing, and for once they were right. So I didn't have to do it in the morning, so I kind of got it out of the way. I'm hoping that you're all doing well. I'm just checking to see that everything's working here. I realized just a few minutes ago that I was so busy with a bunch of things today that I completely forgot to post that I was doing the video, and I've been doing it at 8 o'clock, which is almost a better time in some ways, but then I don't get dinner until like 9 o'clock, and I don't like to eat too early. Hang on, I turned this off. I would swear I did. Okay. Hang on, there we go. All right, it seems to be off. Okay. Okay, yep, that's fine. So anyway, I did some volunteer work this morning, and then the electricity went out where we were, and I had to stay for another couple of hours, and I was real concerned about my sump pump in my basement. And when I got home, there was a little bit of water on the basement floor, but not much, and I think that's because the temperatures were so low that there wasn't too much water flowing, which was a good thing. All right, anyway, let me put the camera down and we can get started. I've just been playing for a number of days now with some of the different Christmas sets and looking through some of my older things. I saved projects from past videos, and some of those were the videos that got deleted. So I'm sort of starting to think about redoing some of those videos, the ones that I think are really worthwhile and that people might like to see. So I've been playing around with some of those things, playing around with some of the Christmas sets again. And I also wanted to apologize because I always do a 12 Days of Christmas, and for some reason the first year I did it December 1st through 12th. And then I realized, by by December 12th, a lot of people are done with their Christmas shopping, done with their Christmas card making, but those are the organized people. I'm not one of them. So last year and the year before, I think I started it a little bit early. And this year I just kind of like the fact that it was already December. You can see I'm still like my head is in September. The fact that it is already December has just kind of gotten away from me. So I'm going to try to catch up with that. And what I'm going to look at is which ones of my 12 Days of Christmas survived and got crossed over to YouTube, and I think it's really not that many considering how many years I did it. So I'd like to go through my records and see what I did at some of the older videos that some people might have seen, but no new people will be able to see, and you don't have it to refer back to anymore. And I may redo some of those using current product or whatever. So that's what I'll be up to, but whether or not it'll happen in a super timely fashion, I can't make any promises, okay? All right, we'll turn the camera down and we will get started. Okay, then there's always just a little bit of adjustment to do here. Let's see. Got some shadows over there from some glue bottles, so let's get those out of the way. It seems like there's just always some kind of a shadow. All right, so here is my information, and I did realize, someone actually pointed out to me that I need to make a new one of these because I don't have my Facebook business page on here. And the reason that that's important is that eventually I will start doing my videos live from there as well. The problem that I'm having now is I'm posting my events from there, but when it tells me that I can invite people, it's only showing me like a small handful of people that I can invite, because you invite people who you're friends with, or people, in case of a business page, people who have liked the page, and a lot of people haven't liked it because they didn't know it existed. So I couldn't invite people to my classes, so then I had to transfer it over to this group and invite people from here. It's all just a little bit confusing, and sometimes I feel like it's designed just to be frustrating. But anyway, so these are the different ways that you can contact me. At my email address, you can shop with me at the www.rcolasino.stampinup.net, and this is 11 Lake Stamper Creatives, and I'm also on YouTube. And all of the videos that I've been doing since like maybe May or June, they've all been transferred over. But things from before then, some of them just didn't make it. Some did, and there didn't seem to be any rhyme or reason to it. Now they're notifying me. So like yesterday, I got an email from Facebook telling me that this Friday, the video that I did on November 20th was going to be deleted. And I'm pretty sure I've already transferred it over, but I'm really appreciating that heads up from them. I'm sure they've gotten an earful from people who were not too happy. Okay, so I've got stuff spread out all over the place here. Big surprise, I know. So I'm going to work with the, give me a second to pull it out. The Ornamental Christmas again, but I'm not actually, at this point, I'm not even sure that I'm doing any stamping at all. I might change my mind about that. But we're using the dies that came with this set, just the dies that cut out the trees. And I'll show you about that. And then I'm just going to do a little bit more, or I did a little bit more with this die here, which is the Christmas ornament die. And with this die that can fit right inside the Christmas ornament die or can go separately. And then I'll show you something that I did with the blending brushes that I kind of like. I don't know, maybe you won't like it, but I like it. So we've got a couple of cards and then just a couple of like show me kinds of things. All right, so let's see if I can find the first one without accidentally dumping stuff out here. All right, so the first card has a real red card base, and that is your typical. It would be 8.5 by 5.5, and we score it at 4 1/4. Okay, so the card itself in the end is 4 1/4 by 5.5. And then I have a top layer for that in garden green, and I cut that one at 3 3/4 by 5, just so we could see a little bit of more of a border. And then this is your inside. So what I did to create that inside was I just took the thing, of course, that I just put back over here someplace. Okay, here we go. So when I cut out the ornaments using that die that I just showed you, this is what's left, and typically that goes into the recycling bin. But I said, you know, that could be a stencil. So all I did was I put it down on here. I took a blending brush, I cleaned it off super well, and then I dipped it in the real red ink and then wiped off like 90% of the ink on a scrap piece of paper and just inked a tiny bit, because this is so light and so clear that you could actually just write your message right over the top of that, but yet it gives the inside a little something. So I kind of like that idea. So that'll be the inside, and like I said, I haven't decided if I would stamp anything on the inside or not, because I used the Words of the Season dies. Now, the Words of the Season dies, or the Words of the Season bundle, came with the dies, which cut out like this, but they also came with a stamp set. But the stamp set had nothing to do with this. It was sentiments that were just very Christmassy, and I just decided I didn't need them, to be honest with you, but I liked these. The thing about them that I didn't realize until I started my die cutting is that the capital letter at the beginning of each word is separated. So even though it's in cursive, it's separated from the rest of the word. It's not a big deal, but it made it a little fidgety. And then because when I ran them through, I didn't really know what color card base I was going to have them on, except that probably it would be a dark card base, because you can see if I made white letters, obviously they're not going to show up on white, but the red would show up on white. So I made 2 sweeps of everything, one in real red and one in white, and I just glued the white a little bit behind and offset a tiny bit so that it would pop a little bit more off of a darker color card base. So that's a tip. All right, just a little trick. It means a little bit more work die cutting extra ones, and gluing them on is fidgety. And you have probably heard me say like a zillion times, oh my gosh, I forgot to use our adhesive sheets. So yes, I forgot to use them that time too. I could have used them on at least the white ones. So today I said we're not going to make that mistake again. So these are our adhesive sheets. You can find these in the annual catalog and online. All right, and they're item number 152334, although I can't tell you at the moment what the price of them is, but I don't think it's a lot. And you get 12 sheets, which really lasts a long time, especially if you keep forgetting to use them. So I'm going to show you how I use those. So on this card, that's not the case because I just wasn't on the ball enough. So let's see. All right, I'm trying to think if I had something else in mind for this one though, or what? Because I had a couple of different things in mind. I think on this one, I was going to put this on the front, and possibly put these inside, or maybe put them on the outside. The other thing I thought was there are two ways that you can add these ornaments to a card front. One way would be to have it, and I think I have some of these that I made last week. So this one's a little more intricate than others, but let's say I put this one on the front of this card. Instead of just gluing it on and then having you not be able to use it, I could have it on so that this hung over the back of the card and was taped onto the card, and they could take this off, and this would be like a little gift that went along with the card. So especially because it's got this beautiful gold ring that goes with it. And then I just put the other side of this paper. Or is it the same? It's the same. The same paper on the back, obviously, to cover up the gluing of the string. And certainly if I wanted it to be identical on both sides, I could put another one of these gold stars on the back, because it does have some movement, some sway to it. So that's another idea for giving someone just a small gift that wasn't too much trouble and wasn't too expensive to go along with their card. So for someone that you don't necessarily exchange gifts with, but you exchange cards. So even with one like this, okay, now this one, I did not make up a pretty back for it. So if I did, it could be an ornament, and I could attach it in such a way that there was just maybe one little something, maybe some of that temporary adhesive there on the back, and then have this go like this and go around the back. But I think for today, what I'm going to do is have this be a decorative touch to the card. So all we need to do is glue the green layer onto the red card base. So like I said, this is garden green. Oh my gosh, the glue worked the first time. I've just been having, I knew I should have shut my mouth as soon as I said that. It's like I said last week, it's clogging up a bit because I haven't used them in these bottles. I've been transferring them into the smaller bottles, and I haven't used them so much, and so I think they're getting thicker. You know how like your shampoo and stuff gets thicker after a while because the water evaporates? I think that's what's happening to these. But I don't have any idea whether adding water to them is a good idea or not. Maybe if you got just the right amount and a very small amount, it might work, but I'm a little hesitant to try it. So you can tell because it's running and then all of a sudden it isn't, and I think it's because a thicker bit of glue got into the nozzle here from inside. So I think this is just going to be an ongoing problem until I open some new glue. And it could even happen after I open, I don't know. I also bought some glue at a kind of a yard sale that a crafty friend of mine was having. And it was all still wrapped. It still had the cellophane wrap around the top, but I don't know how old it was. I have no idea, no way of knowing how old it was. So maybe it wasn't such a good bargain after all. I don't know. All right, so we're putting that on there, and then I'm just going to rub it down just to make sure that the two papers make the connection with the glue, because that glue is very sticky. Now this might be kind of cool to pop up on dimensionals, I'm thinking. And I don't think I need mini dimensionals. So for this one, I just took a piece of, is it silver or gold? I can't even tell in this light. I think it's gold. A piece of gold foil and just taped it on the back and put a little glue under the edges. That's all I did. All right. So what I want to do, though, is use this string. Now, to tell you the truth, somewhere on this desk, over on the left, which is just like a hellhole, you don't ever get to see that mess, at least I hope you don't, but somewhere on this desk there's a spool of gold thread. At one time, Stampin' Up! Sold this gold thread that was really not much heavier than regular thread that you would sew with. And so I had that, and I was using it for times when I wanted something really thin. It is hard to keep this from splitting while I work with it, though. I should keep like a small embroidery needle or something on my desk for just such occasions. Oh, wait, you know what? Watch this. This is another trick. Please let me find it. I just saw it like today or the other day, because this is a really cool trick that I learned from someone else. I did not think of it on my own. Oh, come on. Oh, I hate when that happens. I don't use it very often, but I know it's on this carousel somewhere. Oh, I thought it was. Oh, good grief. All right, well, maybe not. I don't want you to spend time watching me searching for things. We do that enough as it is. I just feel like it's, unless I knocked it off. So what it is it's one of those dental floss threaders. So if you have like bridge work or something and you need to get the dental floss through the bridge work, it will help you get it through. And it's great for stuff like this too. And it works better than a typical needle threader does. I just know there's one here somewhere, but I'll just keep struggling to get it to work. Sometimes you can take a little bit of glue and then roll it around, and then maybe it'll stay. It is hard. A little bit better, and I don't want to make the hole bigger. If I can just get one little piece, sometimes I can grab it. There we go. Okay. So what I'm going to do this time, and the reason I mentioned the gold thread is because it's much thinner. So for what I'm doing here, which by the way, I should not have glued that on. Yeah, okay. So what I should have done, what I was going to do was put this underneath the green, and it would leave a little bump because this is obviously bumpier than thread. But instead of doing that, since I messed that up, what I'm going to attempt to do, she says, is I'm going to attempt to make a bow. And then we can just pretend that I didn't make a mistake and that I wanted the bow instead. Fiddly, fiddly, because it's got to be small. There we go. Okay. All right, so you just kind of sometimes have to keep zhuzhing it a little bit. I never heard that word, by the way, until about 6 years ago when a teacher assistant working in my classroom started using the word. And I said, what the heck are you, what does that mean? She said, it just means you're like fixing it up a little bit. You're working on it. You're fancying it up a little bit. And since then, I feel like I've heard that word a million times, but I had never heard of it prior to that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to have this bow be here. And I'm going to trim the edges on that and straighten that out, and then I'll use a glue dot to hold it down so it doesn't look so darn wonky. Hi, Nancy, how are you? All right, so dimensionals. One, two, three, and maybe a fourth one down there. One of these days I'm going to have to try this just for the heck of it, but I promise not to do it to you tonight, Nancy. But there's a thing that shows up on my phone screen that I can see that says, Nancy Fisher is watching. Oh, sorry. Bring them on video. And then there's a little thing that you can press to bring them on video, and I just don't know what that means. I'm assuming it means that she would want to be on video and that she would have her camera on and that she would probably have to accept my invitation. I don't think I could just suddenly make someone appear. I just don't know how that works or what that feature is supposed to do. It might be sometimes two demonstrators will work on a video together, but they may live in different states or different towns, so maybe that's what it's for. Like one of these days I'll just have to experiment with someone who doesn't mind, because I just have no idea what it really means. All right, so then with the glue dot, I always just take my fingernail and just roll it up a little bit into kind of like a little log shape. And then I can put that right there at the top, kind of a little bit on the red because I want to stretch it up a little bit. And that should also keep the bow, the knot, from coming undone. And again, fiddly, I want to get that behind. Get that out front. Good grief. I'm sure there was a time in my life when my hands worked better than they do now. Okay, so I think that just doesn't look like it has enough by itself, just blank with something on the inside. And I was concerned that this was a little too dark, and I thought about, was there something else I could do? And there might be. So I'm going to take my Happy Holidays, and again, if I had done the adhesive, then I would just peel it off and it would be good. But we'll use the glue, and I'm not using the super fine tip glue either, but that's okay, because you really can do this. You just hold it someplace where you don't necessarily need to put a lot of glue, and even these bottles have a reasonably fine tip. Of course, it's not working right now, but yeah. Okay. And the key is to kind of keep moving. Just drop dots and keep moving, because if you leave it in one place, you're gonna get a big blob. All right, so now as I'm doing this, I'm thinking that I'm not thinking. I'm also thinking that there may potentially not be enough room for all this, so that could be an issue. Yes, it could, and I really can't put happy up there. Well, I could put happy up there. I could put happy here. It would be slightly under part of the bow, but that wouldn't bother me. And then holidays here. All right, let's do that. Let's do that. Then I don't have to try to squish it someplace where, yeah, but now it's going to be more under the bow. Unless I put it over. I don't know. I'm not liking that. All right, let's see. There's always another thought, and that would be to just put happy on the top, on the front, and holidays on the inside. There's always a way to fix things. And again, nobody but you is going to know that you had to do that because you messed up. They're just going to think, what a clever idea, putting one word on the outside and another word on the inside. That's my theory. They're just going to think it was clever. I don't know. Could right here. That I don't like, because that does look like I messed up. I mess up often enough that it shouldn't bother me anymore, but it does. All right, so we're going to do my my other idea. We're going to put the H down here. We're going to do happy. All right, and then you just want to press it down a little bit because it is 2 layers. So when I did these letters, I put a couple of acrylic blocks on top of them just to make sure that the white and the red really were adhered well. I feel like you're not. Oh, hang on. I tend to work close to myself, which makes sense because, you know, I like to see what I'm doing. But then if I'm close to me, it's not on camera. Okay. So you're just making little dots. I can't believe it's clogged up again. I might try squirting some water into this tonight because I don't think I can keep doing this. This is crazy. All right. So you just don't want to rest in any one place too long. Just kind of keep going around and just making the little dots. This glue is very sticky. So, all right, that is just making me absolutely crazy. Let's grab another one and see if it's better. This one feels fuller, which doesn't mean it's better, but we'll give it a try. Yeah, so it's newer, so I got a bunch of glue. So I'll show you what we do about that. Not a big deal. Because we don't want to put this down on the card with a big glob of glue like that because it'll ooze out. And the thing about this glue, as much as I like a lot of things about this glue, the thing about this glue that I don't like is that it stays sticky even when it's dry. What's good about that is that you can actually sometimes let the glue dry to a certain degree and then glue something down, and it seems to stay really well that way as well. So I don't know. But sometimes it's just sticky, and you feel like you've got it all over your hands and everywhere. Okay, so we have happy, almost centered, but not quite. We have happy there. Then we're going to, well, let's see, maybe I can glue it in after. Oh, don't put that on top of the glue you just did. There we go. So I still don't think I want to do well, I could do it here, and they could write above it and below it. I think I'm going to like that. Okay. I know I've said this before, but just so you know, if nobody was watching, I'd still be talking. Well, I mean, if nobody was here, if I wasn't recording, I would still be talking things through. I talk things through to myself all the time with crafting, not with everything, just to kind of make sure that I'm making the right decision. So I'll say, okay, but if you do that, then this might happen. Or if you do that. So again, I got a little bit more glue than I wanted. I'm just tapping some of it off on a piece of scrap paper. Okay, so this won't fit perfectly in here, so it's going to overlap a little. So we'll have the H overlapping a little over here. And that's just really pretty. And I do like the way the white sort of accents a little bit in the back, even when you do put it on white. Come on. There we go. I'm thinking I might empty all of these glue bottles out and just give them a really good washing. Soak them in some hot sudsy water and kind of start over again. I don't like doing that because I know I'm going to be wasting some glue, but I can't be poking holes in the glue bottle every 3 minutes. Okay. Should have used a different hand. All right, and then I'm going to look at it this way so I can see if that has to come down, and it does. You know, I actually like that. So now, you notice what's missing, right? Well, you see this. What's missing is the dot on the eye, which apparently is called a tittle. Did you know that? I heard that on CBS Sunday Morning one year. I was like, who knew? And I looked it up because I thought, what the heck? Did somebody named a dot? But yes, the dot on the lowercase I and the lowercase j is called a tittle. It is true. You learn something new every day. So when you die cut things that have that dot, you have to. So here's what I did. Those are some bigger dots from something else. I've got the little dots saved on this block, and I was like afraid to sneeze or blow or anything because I've got to save them. That one's upside down. Nothing worse than an upside down tittle, right? So very tiny bit of glue there. Oh, well. That one's going to have to do. And then we put it down, and there it is. So our eye is dotted. Now I might be able to take that same piece of scrap paper and press it down a little bit. Yep, and get rid of the extra glue and not pick up the dot. So there you go. And actually, I do think that's kind of pretty. And so it was a mistake. It was definitely not intentional, but I kind of like having it on the inside. And this is much brighter compared to the outside, which is a little darker, but it's still festive. It's just darker festive. If there is such a thing as dark festive, I don't know. Uh-huh. Yeah, we can't keep doing this. This is crazy. Unless I just keep the pin in it. But you have to be careful because unless you have stainless steel pins, they will start to rust. And then rust gets in your glue. And I'm not sure if that matters a whole lot or not. The other thing that I found out, because I thought, well, I know they must make stainless steel pins. I'll just order some. I paid like $8 for 5 pins. Like, I'm not even kidding. Stainless steel pins. That's kind of crazy. Whereas these, you know, I think I got a box of them with 100 or more in it for, I don't know, a few dollars. $8 for 5 pins. That's just crazy. Just crazy. Okay. All right, so there we go. That's probably the fiddliest thing we're doing today, I think. Well, maybe. So that's card number 1. And card number 2. It was sitting on my computer, and already I have no clue where it is. Here we go. Okay, so card number 2. Let me see if I can... All right, so this one is Cherry Cobbler, which is my favorite red. And you can see if you compare it to the real red, it's a very different look. I also wanted you to see so that words of the season dies, you can't, when you look at the die itself, you can't figure out what it says unless you really work hard at it because you're looking at it backwards. So, oh look, there's a spare tittle. I should probably save that thing because I'm going to need it for something. There we go. I never punched that one out. I knew I was short one. Okay. So it's got happy, and then it's got holidays, and it's got happy that could go with New Year. It's got Christmas. It's got greetings. But I thought it would have like seasons greetings, but it doesn't. It just has greetings. And then it has wishes. And I'm not sure what wishes would go for, you know, because you could have wishes for a happy holiday. I don't know. But then we have lots of little stamps that say things like for or and to, so you could probably work that out or just handwrite one. If you have even halfway decent handwriting, no one's going to mind. So anyway, so for this one, I did use a piece of retired designer series paper. I forget what it's called now. I forget what it's called. But anyway, it was retired, but I wanted it because of the gold, and I wanted some gold there. And because this other card, like I said, kind of appeared dark to me, I decided that I wanted the next card to be a little bit brighter, but I still wanted to use the cherry cobbler because I just like it so much. So, all right, now let's see. This was the one that I was thinking could possibly be used as a gift. So I think I'll show you the idea that I think would work for that. So let's just go ahead. I wasn't going to tuck it under here, so I can go ahead and glue that on. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I think I know what I'm doing tomorrow morning after breakfast. I'm playing with glue. Yeah, it just keeps gopping up. And now I've got this pin that I keep dropping on my desk that's full of glue. I'm going to have to use some Goo Gone to get that off, I think. And I know if I squeeze really hard, what'll happen possibly is that glue blob will come out, but it'll come out like a rocket, and it won't be pretty. Okay. Oh, for heaven's sakes. In a minute, I'm going to get out some tape. Well, you know what? Oh, where is it, though? Oh, I took it someplace else to do something else with. Never mind. I was looking for my tear and tape. And now, of course, my fingers are all gluey, too. And I took my, what do you call it? My hand sanitizer someplace else, too. So hand sanitizer won't remove the glue from your fingers if you get glue on your fingers, but it sort of de-stickifies it, if that's a word. So it's no longer sticky and annoying if it's on your fingers. So you don't have to get up and keep washing your hands. Because for me, that's a problem, because while the cat will let me out the door, he won't let me come back in without letting him in, and he's invasive. He would be like right here in the camera, right here. You'd see his face. Just right there. All right, so what I'm going to do is this is the inside, and at first I thought I would do another one of those stencil things, but I thought I was just going to use a piece of that because I had a piece left over, and this is what I always use those pieces for. Well, you know, if you haven't heard me scream, you might get to hear me scream today yet, because this is really getting on my nerves. All right, and I don't know why I expect this one to be any better, but maybe it will be. No, it's not. Yeah, these are the ones I bought from my friend, and I think that they were just older than she realized they were, or maybe they'd been kept in a warm place or something. I don't know. That's a shame, because this one feels like it's full. And like every 2 seconds, they're clogging up. Okay, so we're just going to put that on. That's just a little decoration, and I like it, so it keeps the inside from being naked. All right. And then probably, no, I'm not going to stamp on this one because I'm going to show you something else on this one. At least I think I am. I have to see what I did here. All right, we will see in a minute if this is actually going to work or not. Okay, so let's go ahead. Let's not go ahead and put that in yet, though. All right, because, and if you get glue on the metallic paper, it's not good, the shiny paper, because it leaves like a mark and it doesn't come off very easily. So I'm going to put this, now the only thing with doing this is that the person may rip the paper a little bit trying to remove this from the card if they choose to hang it up. But you know, it happens, right? So I'm just going to take one of the glue dots, and the glue dots do stick, but if you're sending this to a crafty friend and they have like a little, or anybody with a little spatula, you can get it up. All right, so we're going to, now, do I want my Merry Christmas on this card? On the front this time? Let's see. Okay, so I'm being smart this time. So we're going to put it down, leave room for Merry Christmas on the outside, the whole thing. And then until you press it down, it doesn't stick hard. But if it goes through the rollers at the post office, it's going to be stuck. So they're going to have to work at it to get it off, and they might rip a little hole in the front. But at that point, the card's not even a whole card anymore, so I don't think we care. And then we're just going to leave that, tuck it around back, and stick it in the envelope so that they can take it off. And I would leave them a note telling them that you can remove this and use it if you'd like. Okay, so this time I used the adhesive sheets. And they come in, I forgot how many I told you was in the package, but there's a lot. What did I say, 20? Oh my gosh, I can't see from there. No, 12, but there's a lot. And they come in sheets this size, so they're like, I don't know, I didn't measure them. They are like 6 by, maybe 6 by 12. And they have little spots where they have like a break in them so that they can be torn off into little sheets. So what you do, okay, and I did have a sample here to show you. I think I already did it though. So basically what you do is you take the release paper off the top and you peel it back, and then you put whatever you want to make sticky on it. Now it's sticky on that side. And then when you cut around it or die cut around it, there's another release paper on the other side that you peel off, and now you have a sticker. So basically it lets you turn anything you want into a sticker. So I did the Merry Christmas, all right, and I did not take it out of the dies because I wanted you to kind of see how that worked. So the dies all have holes in them. Some of the holes are to release the centers because they'll be there, like the inside of the E or the inside of a B or whatever. And then the other dies, when you press them, they loosen whatever's in the die. So again, the M in Mary is separate, and then the ERRY will be together. And it should come out pretty well. Sometimes I poke a hole and then grab it on the other side. All right, and now here's the part that could be tricky, and that is that now you have to get the sticky backing off of this. And because it went through, I broke this by twisting it when I wasn't supposed to twist it, so now it falls out. It doesn't normally do that. When it goes through the die cut machine, it really does press that sticky down and press the release paper down. So I will admit it makes it a little bit difficult. I don't even know if a fingernail would be easier. It might be. Yep, it is. Fingernail's easier if you've got them. All right, and then it peels right off. And now my M is a sticker. So I can put it right on. The thing I do like about the first letter being separate is that it lets you do like sort of a dry fit of the word, and then you can put the M down and you can go from there. So that is kind of a real positive thing of it being separate. So I'm going to put the M over here, and then when I put the airy down, it'll be right next to it. So that's a real positive thing. So let's see if that comes up as easily this time with my fingernail, or if that was just beginner's luck. Part of it is my eyesight, because no, it's pretty easy. As long as you can see what you're doing, it's pretty easy. And I can barely see what I'm doing, so. All right, so it's a sticker now, so that it is kind of nice. I really need to use these more often, no doubt about it. Need to use these more often. Okay, so now the rest of the Mary is going to go down. Get it off your finger and hope that it's pretty straight, because I think once you press this down, it's not coming back up again. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing over here with this one. And this one has a white tittle on it. And I don't know how I'm going to peel the backing off anything that small. Honestly, I really don't. But it's okay because I've got white ones over here that I can glue down if I have to. I've been collecting them. No, it's not white, it's red. All right, so we're going to get this out. So this time the isthmus came out, and now the C is coming out. And they come out pretty easily. There's another trick that some people do. I just don't like to do it on camera because it's noisy. But if you have some dies that are stuck, some paper that's stuck in your dies and it's giving you a hard time, if you pick up the die and just drop it, like not, throw it, but just drop it on the table where you're working, usually that loosens it. All right, so now we've got Christmas, and we've got to get the C over there. No, wait, I wanted a little bit more. Yeah, there we go, I think. Okay, So yes, it is a little fiddly, I'm not going to lie, but if you like the dimension, if you like doing things like that, and some people tell me they like doing stuff like this better than they like stamping. Some people really just don't like stamping. They don't think they're good at it. I personally think they give up way too soon because I still make mistakes, and I think I'm pretty good at it now, but that doesn't mean I always was. Not by any means. No, I really didn't. Well, the Mary is centered, but I really can't perfectly center this because there's not enough room on the other side. That's not a mistake, I don't think. It just came out that way. I don't know what direction this is supposed to go in, if that's really okay. I guess it looks like a C. It sort of looks like an E, though, too. I don't know. Anyway. Yep. Come on. Yeah, I see a lot of people using the take your pick tool and stuff. I almost think the nail is easier if you've, like I said, if you've got it, because you can just sort of feel it a little bit more. And this is tough because it has some stretch to it, but you don't want to stretch it out too much because then it won't look right. Okay, and then like I said, I don't see how on earth I could pull the backing off of that. I think it would be just insane to even try. So let's just do the glue trick. Okay, I think it's right side up now. Jeez. Okay, I don't think anybody's going to notice if it's right side up or not. That's my theory. Like, who would even notice a thing like that? I'm not even sure most people would notice if there was no dot on the eye, but it would bother me not to put it there. Just a little, please. There we go. Okay. And then the take your pick tool and just put it down. Oh, good grief. It's the wrong color. You see that? I'm so mad at myself for breaking this. Okay. Nope, it's the wrong color. And I think that one was the only... So what I'll do is I'm just going to put it on with glue anyway, even though it's got the backing on it. I don't think that's going to matter a bit, because the other one was real red, and this one is the cherry cobbler. There we go. So that, I think, is really pretty. And the fact that you're giving them a little ornament as well, I think that's really nice. I think people would appreciate that. And then the inside is this one here. By the time this video is over, I'm going to hate glue. You're probably going to hate glue too. So this is not typical, honestly. These glues do not do this on a regular basis. I just think they might have been in her basement or garage or who knows where for a couple of years. So she had a craft store, and she had to close the store because of some health issues. And she had just placed a huge order when she became ill, and so it all got delivered to her house because she had already closed the store and told the landlord she was moving out. So everything got moved to her house, and then she started having annual garage sales, but not for a couple of years because she wasn't up to it. So I think that's what happened here, is that these things sat someplace for a long time. Like I said, I thought I was getting a bargain, but maybe not. Okay, so I don't need to stamp anything on the inside. If I wanted to, I could, but I don't need to. I think it's fine just the way it is, and I love the gold. All right, so that's card number 2, and I don't think there was a card number 3. So I did want to show you, like with this one here, I just used some of the glimmer paper on the back to come through this. And so it's kind of recessed. But on the other one, this one here that I did, I ran this through on some silver paper and also on the blue glimmer paper, and then put some dots of glue in the holes, like in the recessed area, and then dropped these into that so that it has a pattern. And then there's another thing that looks like a little star, and I put that on there just because it's pretty. So that's another one. This one is kind of done on front and back, but on this side I put gold on the back and I didn't drop it in. So, it's just kind of interesting. So this one does have two sides. This one does not yet. But I think my intention was, if I realized I had something else in mind, oh well. My intention was to cover this one, and I put the adhesive sheeting on the back of that one. The thing is, if you don't line it up right, when you're using glue, you can just kind of, there's that word again, zhuzh it a little bit. When you're using the adhesive sheets, you don't have a lot of time for zhuzhing. So you might not line it up perfectly. Yeah, I have a little white showing there, and I could just gently trim that off, or again, I could say nobody's going to notice it. And then I could just punch another hole in that, and then this one is ready for hanging or adding to a card, but they're both two-sided. So the other idea that I had, that is something I haven't done in a while, I've done it with other types of cards, but that was it, was, I don't know why I cut those out, I don't remember anymore. Oh well. Was that I used to do a lot of cards that I called scrap buster cards. So those are cards where you use your scraps. So if you're anything like me, and you have a package of designer series paper, like this one, with all the full sheets in the back, and then in the front, every time I cut something up, all these little pieces get dropped in the front, and they stay there like forever because they're too small to use for most things. So earlier today, I just got out scraps of cardstock and Christmas paper, some red, some green, some a little red and green. And then what I did was I took, oh, it's already ready to go. Look at that. I was thinking, who knew? So I've got some pieces of scrap paper always kicking around my desk. And what I did was I took one of the adhesive sheets and I took the release paper off, but it stuck to my finger. And I put it down on one of these pieces of scrap cardstock that was on my desk. Okay. And then I'm just going to cut the excess off that I don't need. And what I did was I then peeled the other part of the sticky off. Now there's a couple of different ways I could have done this, but I did that. You have to be careful not to peel the sticky off the other side. You just want to get the backing without any more sticky on it. And right now is it coming off? Yes, it is. Okay. So then I peeled that off. So now this is all sticky, as you can see. And what I started doing was I started just taking these. So I'll show you the finished product because you'll understand more what I'm doing. So I used the dies to cut them out after they were done. And so for this one, I tried to use all shades of green, and then I just found one that had some berries on the top and put it on the top. This one I kind of alternated red, green, red, green, red, and then a little bit of red cardstock on the bottom. And I thought those would look really pretty, so I just went ahead and put them on. So there, this one, because of the size of the dies, a smaller one like this really could be okay up at the top. So it doesn't matter that this one isn't quite right, although I don't like the bend it. No, I don't like that. So maybe that'll have to go on a bottom somewhere. But here's another one of the same one that's bigger. All right, so you're going to butt them right up against each other and then press it down. And then the next one's going to have some red in it. So in this case, I am mixing up cherry cobbler and real red, and I don't care. I'm going to try to put it close to the edge on one side, and I should have done that more with the red one, because when you trim that off, you still have something usable for the next one. All right, and then I've got some green, which is gold. Got some gold foil on one side, but it's, oh no. Okay, but it's just green on the other side, so I'm just going to use the other side without the gold foiling, since we're right up against one that already had it. And then, let's see, I've got this paper here, which is from a long time ago, but it was a favorite of mine. I loved it. All right, so that's going to be our red over there. And then I have some green, different green stripes, and that can go there. And again, I'm butting it right up against before I press it down. And obviously I got myself on a little bit of an angle, and it just doesn't matter because it's going to look cute no matter what. All right, and let's see, do I have anything else red that's not that? I thought I did. Oh, I've got the other side of this. Now this is a toile pattern, but I didn't realize I cut it really for this green, not for the red, so it's going in the wrong direction. But again, I don't think anybody's going to notice that unless they stick their nose on it. You know, they just wouldn't see that. And then we could end with a piece of green cardstock on the bottom. And like I said, it doesn't matter that it's kind of wonky. And then I'm just going to pick it up, and I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm going to trim any of these pieces that might be usable again. Probably nothing that small is going to be usable. And then I would shove those out of the way, and then I would put one of the dies on here. If you'd like to see it, I can do it. So here's one that I kind of saved so you could see what it looked like before, and then you could see what it looked like after. Okay, I can use my mini cut and emboss machine for this. Now you never want to rip the paper, and that can sometimes happen even if you're using low-tack tape. So this is just kind of a little lesson on using an embossing machine and using dies. What you want to do is to, hang on, let me get the machine so you can see what I'm doing. I want to put it on my cutting plate. So that's the one that just looks like heck. Okay, that's your cutting plate. And I'm going to set it down on the cutting plate. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of this tape, but I'm not going to put it like here, because then when I lift it up, it might rip part of my tree. So I'm going to put the tree up to the top, and I'm going to put it here, okay, because it's not touching much of the red at all, and it's now touching the plate and the outside of the red, and it'll keep it from moving. And then for the other one here, what I can do is come over here where it's also near the edge and put the tape on the edge of the die, on the outside, and then on the plate itself, so that this won't move on me while it's going through the machine. All right, now I keep my plates until they're just in ridiculous shape and they start to warp after a while. They are considered a consumable, and so my machine will make lots of weird noises because I just refuse to use them until they crack. And eventually they will crack. So at this point, a few weeks ago, I ordered a new set of plates for these because it never fails that when the plate finally goes, it goes when I need it the most. So let's get that out of the way. So that is the mini Stampin' Emboss and Cut machine. My gosh. But I like it a lot. It's a lot lighter weight. It's really great to take with you on crops and things like that. However, a lot of our larger things won't fit in it, so that's just a kind of a cautionary thing. All right, and so now there they are. And if I could maybe do another one of these, and then I was thinking, I know I brought a card base out here. I'm not going to actually make the card, but I could if I had the card base, which was here like an hour ago, or maybe a couple of hours ago. Oh, well, I've always got card bases kicking around, so that's not an issue. So just for fun, I'm kind of wondering what, like I think this is smoky slate card base. So, you know, what they would look like maybe, you know, an evening kind of a scene, and you put these on the card like that. It'll bother me. I feel like they have to be symmetrical, but then that annoys me too. So maybe I would want to do all of the same kind of tree, and maybe that's not you, and you're like, what is this woman's problem? But they're just really cute, and they're festive, and they're something different. The other thing is that you could put two of these back to back, glue them together, punch a hole, and make another little ornament or a tag. If you put just white paper on the back that maybe doesn't have measurements written on it, you could just use this as a to and from, put a hole in it, use it as a gift tag, or glue it onto your package. So they're just really cute. They don't take a lot of effort, and they scrap bust. So you know that tonight and tomorrow and whenever I have some free time, I'm just going to be making a bunch of these because they're fun and they're easy. And you can do it with glue too. You don't have to have the adhesive sheets. All right, so that is it for tonight. I feel like there was something else, but at this point I don't want to deal with the glue anymore, so I'm just not going to. So we have this card, and we have this card. I have to tell you, I like it's never, I don't know. I like to make trees and snowflakes in blue and silver. It's just me. So that one just doesn't turn me on, but what can I tell you? There's nothing wrong with it, that's for sure. All right, and then we've got our cute little trees that aren't in camera. I may have to raise this up again. People were saying that they couldn't always see what I was doing because the camera was up higher, but now the camera's lower and it's still hard for them to see me what I'm doing, to see what I'm doing because it's so close that everything's not on camera. Originally, this mat was like my camera area, so this glass mat, you got the whole thing on camera, but then they couldn't see detailed things, so I don't know. You can't win. What can I say? Thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really do appreciate it, and I hope you'll join me again. When I start doing the 12 Days of Christmas videos, I may not even do it with notice. It may just be me popping up because I don't know that I'll have time to schedule it. I may just decide to sit down and do it, but you can catch it on the replay or catch it on YouTube. All right? Thank you so much. Have a great night.